Okay, so today we're getting into some really interesting stuff, diving deep into the dark web.
Yeah, going way past those headlines, getting into what this dark web actually is.
Right, because it's not just like a thing you just go to, right? Like it's
No.
not Google or Wikipedia.
No, no, not at all. It takes a little more effort to get there.
We're working with this article, and it's got some wild details about what people do on the dark web.
It really digs into the activities, the good, the bad, the just plain weird.
And it doesn't shy away from the legal stuff either, which is fascinating in its own right,
Yeah, the legal side of things is a whole other can of worms, that's for sure.
for sure. But to kick things off, the article starts with something that seems pretty tame, all things considered. Fake IDs.
You'd be surprised, though, how big of a deal it is on the dark web. It's like a digital black market for identification.
No kidding. Like what, are we talking driver's licenses or something more serious?
Well, think bigger. We're talking passports. Apparently, you can get yourself a Maltese passport for about $4,000. A French one's a bit cheaper, though.
$4,000. Man, that's crazy. But I guess if you're going to go fake, might as well go all out, right?
Right. And here's the thing. While those forgeries probably wouldn't fool, like, a seasoned professional, they might be convincing enough for online use.
Oh, I see what you mean, like for quick scams or something where they don't look too closely.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really unnerving. They're also selling scanned copies of real passports.
Hold on, wait, what? So real passports, just like scanned and put online. What would someone even do with that?
They use them to get around security systems we use every day, like two-factor authentication. Scary stuff.
So all that stuff we do to protect our accounts using our phones and whatnot, it might not be as safe as we think, huh?
It really makes you think twice about your digital security.
No kidding. This is already more intense than I thought it'd be, and we're just getting started.
Oh, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Wait until we get into the dark web's bread and butter.
You mean?
Drugs. Lots and lots of drugs. The article called it the Amazon for drugs. And honestly, it's a pretty apt description.
Yeah, Amazon for drugs. I mean, you always hear about that, but it's hard to imagine how it actually works.
It's surprisingly sophisticated. We're talking massive selection, everything you can imagine, all available with a few clicks.
And they just mail it to you, like through the regular postal service.
Believe it or not, that seems to be the preferred method. And the crazy part is, it's surprisingly reliable.
Wait, hold up. Reliable. You mean like if I hypothetically, of course, ordered something, there's a good chance it would actually arrive?
The article talked about sellers offering guarantees and building reputations, just like legitimate businesses.
Wow, so they've got their own whole system down there. It's kind of fascinating in a weird way.
It's a whole other world, that's for sure. And it's not just a few small-time operators. Studies show a significant number of drug users in the UK, Finland, Norway, they're all turning to the dark web.
So we're talking global scale here. It's hard to even imagine how authorities would even begin to shut something that big down.
It's a constant battle, a real game of cat and mouse. They shut down one marketplace and another one pops up.
Isn't there an example of that in the article? Something about a market called Nemesis?
Yeah, Nemesis Market. They got shut down recently, but get this, they'd already made over $1.7 billion globally this year alone.
Whoa, 1.7 billion. From what? Selling drugs.
Stolen data, actually. They were a hub for buying and selling stolen credit card info, social security numbers, the works.
Man, that's wild. So it's like a hydra. You cut off one head and two more grow back.
That's one way to put it. It really shows that while shutting down individual marketplaces is important, it's not a long-term solution.
It feels like we've already gone so deep, but from what I've read, things are about to get way darker.
You're not wrong about that. But before we delve into the truly disturbing side of the dark web, yeah, things take a turn, that's for sure.
Yeah, so where it gets real, huh?
Real dark.
So hitmen for hire, urban legend, or terrifying reality?
I'd say it's a bit of both, actually.
Oh, okay, so how does that even work?
Yeah.
We're talking like a digital classified section or something?
Something like that. But like a lot of things on the dark web, there's a good chance you'll run into a scam.
So someone could be desperate, scared, who knows, and they end up getting swindled. That's kind of sad, actually.
It is, but the really scary thing is that there are real cases of people trying to hire hitmen on the dark web.
So seriously, no kidding.
Yeah, the article mentions this case of a woman who paid thousands, like actual Bitcoin, to have her ex's new wife killed. And
Wait, she actually paid, and then what?
It turned out to be a scam, but it just shows you how far some people are willing to go.
That's wild, man. It's like that anonymity can really mess with people's heads.
It makes you wonder what people are capable of when they think no one's watching, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got fake IDs, drugs, hitmen.
Yeah.
What else? What else could there possibly be?
Buckle up because it gets worse.
Worse. Okay, shoot.
We need to talk about organ trafficking.
Oh, man. Okay, yeah. That's some heavy stuff.
It's a very real and very disturbing part of the dark web.
The article mentioned something crazy like 10,000 kidneys get illegally sold each year. Is that for real?
That's what they're saying, and it's a global problem. The article told this story about a guy from Nigeria who was lured to England with the promise of a job, you know.
Ugh. Okay, yeah, I think I know where this is going.
He wakes up in a hospital missing a kidney.
Oh my God, that's messed up. I mean, I knew organ trafficking was a thing, but I guess I never really thought about how it actually went down.
It's scary to think about, for sure.
Yeah, and now with all this new AI stuff, who knows what's next?
Speaking of AI, that's another disturbing trend on the dark web.
Wait, what do you mean? Like artificial intelligence? On the dark web?
Yeah.
For what?
They're using it to create all sorts of illegal content, especially child sexual abuse material.
Well, hold on, seriously.
It's really disturbing. Imagine a program that can create realistic images from scratch, just like that.
You mean like not using actual children, but the AI just generates it?
Exactly. It's like something out of a nightmare.
So how do they even like police that? That sounds impossible.
It's a huge challenge for law enforcement. This technology, it's moving faster than anyone can keep up with.
The dark web almost feels like its own separate world, detached from reality.
In a way, it is, and the rabbit hole goes even deeper.
Deeper. Okay, you're starting to freak me out a little here. What's next?
The darkest corners of the dark web, we're talking about torture and murder videos.
Oh, man, yeah. The red rooms, right? Like
Yeah.
that whole thing where people pay to watch live torture online.
You hear stories, but it's really hard to separate fact from fiction. Some experts think those red rooms, they're more myth than reality.
So you're saying they're not real. That's kind of a relief, actually.
Maybe, maybe not. It's hard to say for sure. What we do know is that real videos of abuse and murder, they definitely exist on the dark web.
Okay, that's still super disturbing. Even if the red room thing is a myth, the danger is still real. Man, it's heavy stuff. This whole deep dive has been pretty intense.
Yeah, we've covered some dark territory, that's for sure.
So we've talked about some pretty awful stuff, but the article did mention that the dark web isn't all bad, right? Like there's some legitimate uses for it too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Like it could be a tool for good, right?
Mhm.
Like I read about whistleblowers using it to expose corruption.
Right, exactly. And people in oppressive countries use it to access information, you know, stuff that's been censored.
That's kind of inspiring when you think about it, that even in this dark corner of the internet, there's still that potential for good.
It really is. It shows that the desire for truth and freedom, it can exist even in the darkest of places.
Like the Panama Papers, right? That whole thing, that started on the dark web, didn't it?
That's right. A huge leak of financial documents exposing all sorts of shady stuff, and it all came from an anonymous source on the dark web.
It's kind of mind-blowing to think about, you know. The same place where you can buy, well, you know, all the things we've talked about. It's also a place where huge, impactful leaks like that can come from.
It's a strange juxtaposition, isn't it? The same technology that can be used for, well, frankly, evil can also be used to hold the powerful accountable.
It's a lot to wrap my head around, honestly. So where does this all leave us?
Ah.
What's the takeaway for our listeners who've never even thought about the dark web before?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the dark web, as much as it seems like this hidden, mysterious thing, it's really just a reflection of us.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's got good, it's got bad, it's got everything in between, just like the real world. It's a microcosm of human nature, you know?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's easy to think of it as this separate thing, totally disconnected from our everyday lives.
Right, but it's not. It's all connected. And as we spend more and more of our lives online, it's important to remember that.
So what you're saying is the dark web, it's not some abstract thing. It has real implications, real consequences.
Exactly. It's important to be aware of the risks, to be smart about our online security, and to remember that our actions, even in the darkest corners of the internet, they have an impact.
Well said. This has been quite a journey. We've gone from fake IDs to, well, some pretty dark stuff, and it's made me think about the internet in a whole new way.
That's what we were hoping for. Knowledge is power, as they say.
It sure is. So, to wrap things up, we'll leave our listeners with this. In a world where it feels like everyone's watching, Is true anonymity even possible? And if it is, what does that mean for our society?
Those are some big questions, and I don't think there are any easy answers.
That's for sure. Big thanks to you, though, for helping us shed some light on this often misunderstood corner of the digital world.
My pleasure. It's been a fascinating conversation.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the dark web. Until next time, stay curious.